This segment is brought to you by Jig Masters. Step up your game with high-quality performance jigs, spinner baits, buzz baits, and more from jigmasters.com. And always, when in doubt, get the jig out.
Welcome to The Reel Down on Paddle and Fin with your hosts, Dan Perry and Jimmy Skinner, where we talk about everything tournament kayak fishing. Here we go. Hey everybody, welcome back to The Reel Down on Paddle and Fin. How you doing, Jimmy?
Pretty good, man. What's going on?
Doing good, man. We got a big mega show tonight. Doing a KBF recap of the Kissimmee event. It was a couple of weeks ago, but giant show tonight. But yeah, as always, we are brought to you by the great folks at the Dugout Bait and Tackle in Marietta, Georgia. And not only do they have the bumper bro that we talked about last week, brought to you by Burley Pro, that crazy guy down in Australia. But they have that in a brand new rod. That thing from St. Croix. What's that all about, man?
Yeah, so they St. Croix just released the rod that they've been kind of building up for a while, the St. Croix Victory rods.
Victory! Sorry.
They it's 8 different models total, 5 casting and 3 spinning. I looked up a little bit of the information about them. I am not technical enough to tell you all about and be able to speak confidently in what I'm talking about, but they're making them in a new material and they're super lightweight. They're 100% made in America, and they've got Fuji guides and Fuji reel seats. That's all I need to know to buy a rod. So check them out. They've got them. I'm not sure if they've got all the models down at Dugout. Just give them a call. I'm sure they'll tell you what they got or when they're getting them, or when they can sell them. I think they've got them. Last thing I saw was they weren't supposed to be on the market until the 19th of March, but you know, Dugout's got their hands in the right cookie jars. They probably got them first. And they still got the reel down deal going on with the St. Croix Legend Extremes. Buy one of those rods at regular price and get a Shimano XT reel with it for free. So, hop on down there and get it. If you can't get down there and get it, give them a call and tell them that me and Dan sent you down there and that you heard it on the Paddle and Fin on the Reel Down, and they'll hook you up.
That's right. And but you just went up and fished some ice fishing, right? You went
I
up
did.
with Brian?
Yeah, man. Give Brian a big, huge shout out and thanks. I drove that 9.5 hours up there Thursday, went through that ridiculous ice storm in Kentucky. Got up there, I think the warmest temperature I saw was like 8, maybe 10. Negative at night. They got like a foot or two of snow on the ground. Snowed most of the time we were there, but the ice fishing was on fire. We just went up there to catch a bunch of bluegill, fill the freezer. But we caught just me and him caught almost 100 fish the first day. And then
the devil. There he is.
What up, Brian? And then we caught probably 150 or more. Second day, we had a couple people with us. Brought home about 100 fish to fillet up and eat. I can't wait, man. I had a fish fry in a while, so it's about to go down.
There you go.
But it was fun. Cool new experience. Cold as crap.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd get it. Maybe I'd do it for the experience, but that don't look like something I'd want to be a part of.
It's really not that bad. Like, it's walking out on the lake. That sucks. But once you get in the shack, man, we had a heater blowing. You could take all your cold weather gear off and just relax and catch fish. It was great.
How do you
hold on, Frank. Hold on. I am Gimli. I'm not a hobbit.
That dude has like a giant beard himself. I mean, I don't know what he's talking about. But how do you have a heater on the ice? I've never understood that. Doesn't it melt the ice?
It's just it does, which is kind of cool and scary all at the same time. So you've got one of those. Are you like, if you know what a buddy heater is? It's like a propane heater.
Yeah.
Brian's got the big one sitting right on the ice, blowing right between us. It keeps it. It probably gets it into like the 40, 50 degree ish range in there. It's melting all the ice and snow in front of it. But when we drilled down, the ice was probably 18 inches thick. So, I mean, you'd have to point it straight down to even start to do anything. Hey, no, because we didn't drink. I was surprised myself. I was totally ready for a bottle of bourbon and ice fishing.
All right, so here we go. We'll go ahead and get on with the show. We have 4 huge guests. They all won. They all got big checks down in Kissimmee. So I'm going to mess up some names, but I'm going to try not to. We'll start with John, the toughest name. I'm sorry, I'm from Mississippi. John Ferreira.
You got it.
I got thumbs up, so I like that.
Yeah.
Josh Sharp, he's he's in the internet, so we might just be hearing him. I don't know, actually be able to see him. But Josh Sharp, up and comer here. And then the other 2, they've been on the show multiple times. Arguably, let's say the 2 best anglers in the country, Rus Snyders and the man himself, Jody Queen. Thanks everybody for being on the show.
Hey guys.
Thanks for having me on.
And we got like everybody. Gosh, the DJ is scratching it up over here. But, Jody gave us a little. We won't do it now, but anybody like Jody needs to make a nice YouTube video of his man cave. Because anybody who thinks they have like a nice kayak man cave, y'all ain't got nothing. Like he's got you beat. His roof is done up. Like not roof, but ceiling. If your ceiling is not on point like his ceiling. Look, there you go. Like he's going to flex on us. Look, y'all ain't got it. Y'all ain't got nothing.
He's got the Sistine Chapel redneck version going on.
Yeah,
That's right, man. I even got a volcano over there.
Yeah. And the metal lady's still up in there. My favorite. Yeah, thank y'all for being on the show. But y'all all went down to Kissimmee, got paid, and we're nice and warm for a while. Now Rus, he's out in California pimping in an old school vehicle. But, yeah, we'll start. I got all the numbers here, so let's see what I can do.
I'm glad you're taking that because I was writing all that down and like confusing myself, and I'm sure I've got somebody crossed up. So
yeah, and we can only have 6 people on our StreamYards, and that's all I could do. But I want to give a huge shout out to Matt Kiefer. He had an amazing all these events. He had amazing weekend too down there too. So big shout out to him. You're going to hear his name a lot. He just couldn't fit on the show. It would only fit 6 people, or we would have definitely had him on as well. So shout out to him. But so I'm going to go with all the numbers first, and then we'll do some intros. So KBF day 1, 145 anglers. I didn't see who caught the big bass. I didn't see that in Fishing Chaos. But John, you won that one with 93 inches. Dennis Campbell second, 92.5. Matt Kiefer got 92. Rus in 5th with 90.25, and Jody with 89.25. So that was day 1. John, you won that one. Day 2, and Rus, somewhere in there, you flipped your kayak. That's all I know, and lost a bunch of stuff. And
that's pre-fishing. Yeah, on
pre-fishing.
Yeah.
And then people found your rods all over the lake, and you still
caught fish off of them too. There's a little tip sticking out, and Cody and another guy caught some fish off them.
Yeah, Dustin, one of the paddling.
That's right. Yeah.
And then day 2, you end up winning after you flip you turtle your kayak, and then come back and win day 2. With that had 131 anglers. Jody, you had the big fish, 23.5. So Rus won that day with 94.25. Matt Kiefer, there's that name again, 92 inches. Derek Brundle, the man up in the Northeast, 91.25. Jody, you got 5th with 88 inches, so cast your check. And John, a little bit lower that day, 4 fish, but still had a good day. And then the Invitational, and Josh, I got to find out, one of my questions going to be is, why the hell you didn't fish day 1 and 2? But in the Invitational, Josh won that one with 184.75. Rus, you got second, another check with 184.5. Matt Kiefer again with 184. Jody in 4th with 177.25. And John 21st, 152.5. So still a great showing there. And then then we roll over into the 10, which everybody loves that event because everybody is getting paid probably it's hard to argue, but like that's the event everybody really wants to be in. I mean, the TOC is great,
Yeah.
but the 10 you're getting paid. That's the event everybody wants to be in every year. I don't think anybody can argue. You're getting paid. Who
Not
doesn't?
just paid, but just the whole experience with getting to stay with all the top guys and that big prize package, and it's an experience for sure.
That's the one tournament of the year coming in dead last does not matter.
Yeah.
It's just like,
I was joking with a buddy of mine. I said, man, if you could just take all the knowledge in that house when everybody's there, if you could just take all that knowledge and put it in a book, I mean, you'd be a millionaire. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy when everybody gets to talking about what they're doing and all the stuff that's going down in that house. It's a good place to be. Yeah.
Don't say it too loud. Scott Butcher's going to start writing a book next time.
Yeah.
But Jody,
you got to learn to write first.
But Jody, he had all the checks throughout, from the other events, but he got the big check on that one with 166 inches, 2 days. Rus and who else? Josh, you were in that one too, right?
That's right.
You won the Invitational, so congratulations, y'all. Also cashing checks there. John, you got close to sneaking into that one too, right? So almost. We were rooting for you, but
I blew it on day 2.
Next year. Well, this year, I mean, so you already won one event. So, I mean, you've got great points going into the rest of the year. So you have an opportunity to get in there for 2022. So, all right. So we'll start. Now we'll go back up and go to introductions. John, we've never had you on the show. So tell us who you are, how you got into kayak fishing, and what you do whenever you're not kayak fishing.
Cool. So my name is John Ferreira. I'm from Taunton, Massachusetts. I actually live 5 minutes away from Kenwood.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you might be. I mean, he's cool to me, I guess. Yeah, so it all started when I bought a crappy little sit-in, I don't know, little 9-footer Pelican about 5 years ago. I was just hitting all the local bodies of water. And then one day I was driving on a Saturday and I drove by a bigger body of water and I saw all these, big rig kayaks out there. And at the time I was blown away. I've never seen anything like it. So I was super intrigued. And then I was on FishBrain, the app at the time, and I saw a yellow Hobie that I saw in the water that day. So I commented, I was like, "Oh, are you guys on Lake Sebastian?" And he responded, "Yeah." And then he continued to tell me a little bit about the club. And later that day, I found Massachusetts ag bass, and then I started fishing that trail. Started off by getting my butt kicked, and then when I'm not fishing, man, I'm either working or I'm with a little one. There's only really a couple things I do in my life, and that's either my family or I'm fishing. Either on the kayak or I was on some hard water today. Slaying some crappies on the ice. So it was a good day.
What do you do for a living?
Oh, I am a residential solar installation trainer. So I used to install solar. I did that for about 8 years, and then I finally got a good gig to where I'm actually training now. So I travel the country, training new hires and different integrations. And I was in California last week, which was nice, but in Florida, I was technically working. So that whole trip was paid for by my company. Essentially, I got to drive the work truck down and they paid for a hotel. So I am like super fortunate. Big shout out to Sunrun for that. I'm also, they got me covered for Lake Murray too. So.
Dang, that's nice. Very good. Growth industry. All right.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, man, we haven't had you on the show before, but I keep hearing from Adam. And I know Rus and Adam Riser. I know y'all run in the same group. I know y'all are boys. And I keep hearing you're the man to watch out for. So tell us who you are.
I'm Josh Sharp. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Want to make sure. Josh Sharp from Franklin, Tennessee. I've been kayak fishing for the last 5 or 6 years now. And been fishing for most of my life. Had the Harpeth River run down my backyard, so I used to wade the creeks and rivers growing up back there. But yeah.
Well, what do you do whenever you're not kayak fishing?
Not kayak fishing. I mean, I do a lot of stuff. I mean, I got a bass boat too. I'll do some of the boat stuff. I I tend to use my kayak more than my boat. It's a different experience, you know. I mean, I got into the kayak fishing because I couldn't afford a boat at the time, so I kind of got that to kind of get by and kind of get into some tournaments and stuff. I mean, ended up doing that. I mean, shoot, I'm pretty much usually just fishing. If I'm not, I'm working or something. You know, some friends with it.
There you go.
Yeah.
And Rus, if people don't know who you are, I feel bad for them. But who are you, man? And where are you at? Tell people where you're at.
Yeah, my name is Rus Snyders. I'm here actually visiting my mom in California, Grass Valley, kind of foothills of the Sierras. And I'm in a Domino's parking lot right now. She of
course
her Wi-Fi sucks. I tried using it. I couldn't even play a YouTube video, so I'm like, this isn't gonna work. So actually, my father, he lives in the Bay Area, and I took his old car. It's an old '64 Ford Cortina, English Ford. So I'm it's a fun car to drive around for the week here, and I'm just sitting in the parking lot. Got 3 bars, so I'm stoked about that. Glad you guys can hear me okay. And but
are you going to get back to fish Watts Bar?
I'm not. No way. I'm not messing with that cold weather. I was already kind of planning on it before. I was going to take a week off, see the family. I really didn't get a chance to see him over the holidays. And last time I saw him was when I did my road trip out here over the summer. And the majority of that time I was actually fishing. So I got a chance to spend time with family for a while. So it's nice to get out here and catch up with them and spend some time with them. And so I was planning on missing Watts Bar, which I'm not too upset about. Looking at that forecast with temps in the teens, it looks crazy. And I guess Tennessee just got a half a foot of snow or something. I don't know. Even Texas is like a couple degrees or something.
San Antonio.
It's wild, man. As soon as I get back, I'm planning on getting back probably Sunday or Monday, and I'm gonna do Lake Murray and then go to Broken Bow and Lake Fork. So I got a busy few weeks when I get back.
I'll see you at Lake Fork.
Hell yeah. That'll be a fun one. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, it's me, you, and a whole bunch of folks in that one house, dude. We're gonna have that little house packed out.
Hell yeah! Oh, you're in with Will and
yeah. I got in like last minute. I was like, dude, if there's somewhere to I can lay down, I'll go. And they were like, yeah, sure, come on.
Hell yeah, so. Jimmy, cool, bud. Awesome.
All right, Jody. People don't know who you are. Tell us.
Jody Queen, originally from Wayne County, West Virginia. I live in Bluefield, West Virginia right now for the past 10 years. I got my first kayak, I guess, about 6 years ago, which was a little sit-on-top Pelican when they first came out with the angler. Pelican had a little angler series. It was a great boat because you only had to paddle on one side because it goes straight if you just stayed on one side. But it got me out, man. It got me into it. So it led me to know that I wanted to do this. So I was on the internet one day and I seen Drew Gregory jump up and do a 360 in that little Coosa, and that's what sold me on that. So I went and bought one of those, and that's when I started fishing the tournaments. I fished locally and belonged to a couple clubs, and then started branching out and fishing a few KBF things back in, I think, 2015 and 2016. I did a little more, and by 2017, this is all I do. When I'm not fishing, I'm sleeping, probably.
Making art.
Yeah, making art.
I'm
vice president of Gary Bowling's House of Art here at the building here. We got a gallery, and most every room that I've got in here looks like a gallery. But we're kind of like a springboard for local artists who don't have the resources to show their work or don't know how to get out and do the marketing and how to get into shows and stuff like that. We kind of help them, just give them a little shove in the right direction. That and play music, man. I'm a musician. I play music. So most of the time I'm fishing though. Yeah. But I'm full-time fishing. That's what I do. And if I got a chance to do this other stuff, then that's what I do when I'm home.
If I would say, like you started at Pelican, let's not argue, one of the best top 5 anglers in the country. kayak anglers in the country. If you see somebody online who's in a pelican or a sun dolphin, you're not helping us by hating on them because they're in a terrible kayak. Be nice. No. And yeah, like somebody the other day was in like a sun dolphin. They were proud of that damn thing. Be nice.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that I see out on the water, I don't care if it's a sun dolphin, a pelican, or whatever. The reason why the pelican, I'll back up and tell you a little story about it. I was headed down the river into some rapids, and I just pulled the pelican off of a big sandbar. It was like 95 degrees, and I stuck it in that cold water and hit a big rock doing about 15 knots, and it just never paddled right from then on out. So it was my fault, you know. But yeah, as long as you're on the water, man, I mean, I want those people into this sport. I want their next kayak to be something that will get them in and competing, or compete with a sun dolphin. I don't care. Just get out and do it. I mean, you'll love it.
These guys want y'all on the water no matter what
Absolutely.
you're in, so they can take your money. That's what it is.
You're not going to help the sport by shaming them. Just, support them, and they'll figure it out. Yeah, they'll figure it out.
Yep.
I mean, I've been beat multiple times by guys in sit-ins.
Yeah.
We've got a local Pickwick hammer here that fishes out of an ascend, and nobody's going. No electronics.
Nope.
It's all skill. Like
I've been beat by every local around here. All my buddies. I mean, it is what it is. It's fishing, guys. I mean, you're not going to win every tournament. You'd like to win every tournament. You want to finish in the top 5. You want to cash a check every time, and you do the best you can to do that. But it's not going to happen every time. But if you dedicate yourself to it more times than not, you're going to be up there. You get it out of what you put into it.
For sure.
And if y'all have any questions tonight, if you fished in the Kissimmee event, and if you have any questions you want to get better, please ask away. I'm sure these guys will be happy to answer. But yeah, we'll go ahead and start with John, the winner of day 1. Tell us about your event and how it went for you, and kind of talk about your practice too, because I have no idea how you would practice for that kind of event, especially if you're fishing the 10 too. How do you practice for that many days, and how do you manage those fish? I don't know how you would possibly do that. So we'll start with you, John.
Well, fortunately for me, I went down there last year, covered a ton of water, and then ended up at a body of water that I did pretty well at. So I fished there again this year. But during practice, once again, I just eliminated a ton of water without actually fishing where I ended up fishing. But just trying to find a bigger and better bite. It's just spending, a half day here, just trying to figure out, a spot in a spot. Because, I mean, you're in Florida, you're going to fish grass. Come tournament day, launching where I was at first, I launched by myself, which was cool. Didn't know if it was a bad thing or a good thing. And then my morning didn't really go as planned. I didn't get my first fish till like 9:30, 10. So I was kind of shaking in my boots a little bit. I mean, you get in your own head once things aren't going right. And then from that first fish, I realized that I was on a moving bite, and then I ended up, throwing a frog and a spinnerbait all day in sparse vegetation, which was cool because I got to avoid, flipping spatterdock all day, trying to find that needle in a haystack type deal, without having a spot on a spot. I mean, it wasn't too crazy. I just found a really juicy spot, and it worked out for me, but it didn't work out for me in the second day. I ended up finding fish too late in the day because I couldn't get in my own head and slow myself down, which I'm really kicking myself in the butt for that.
Tell me, just because everybody knows that's the land of the big fish down there, what was your big fish for your whole event? Pre-fishing and everything. What was your big one?
Oh man, I didn't catch anything big pre-fishing, but my big fish was only, it's funny, I say only, only 20 3/4 inches. I mean, it's a big fish, but there was much bigger fish caught, and there's a lot bigger fish down there. So, but I mean, if you have a couple of those, your bag was pretty much set.
Yeah. Awesome. What
So
frog? Well, if you would give it away, what frog were you throwing? I'm always looking to see if somebody's throwing something I'm not holding yet.
I like the Blitz frog. So the it's like a black frog with paddle feet. It's a really soft, hollow body frog with paddle feet.
Blitz frog. Who makes that?
Blitz. It's that. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know.
It's a hollow belly or like a horny toad?
It's a hollow belly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I get sick of throwing like horny toads because the legs break off, and these are very durable rubber.
Is it closer to like a Stanley top toad? That's what I'm.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
is it more like a traditional hollow body just with feet?
Hollow body with feet. I mean, if you go on Tackle Warehouse and search Blitz frog, it'll pop right up.
Check it out.
I put it in
Never
order.
even heard of that one. There you go. A little bit of juice right there.
Yeah,
Blitz.
yeah.
Get the Blitz frog, people. Who knew?
All right.
All right, Rus.
On to day 2.
Oh, I want to say thanks,
Oh, go ahead.
Josh, because I wouldn't be here if you don't. I think about it all the time, man. You let me take that one, so much appreciation.
Yeah, man, no problem.
What happened?
I didn't sign up for the trail event.
So he handed it to me. He would have kicked my butt, man. He by 5 inches. So
All right.
I
So
do believe Josh might have taken everybody's money.
I definitely missed out on some money that weekend, but
Why didn't you sign up?
I didn't know if I was on what kind of fish I was on. I caught a couple big ones in practice, but it was my first day of pre-fishing. I fished that spot, and I hadn't been doing it in a couple days, and I didn't know if it was worth signing up for the trail event until the day of, and like my first 3 fish or something were over 20 inches. I was like, dang, well, I messed up, but it happens.
No. Well, you still won the Invitational. And
Yeah, I can't cash the team house. So
I was going to say, if you had to pick one to win,
Uh-huh.
that's the one to win. So
yeah,
because you got everything you got in the house, getting to hang out with Rus and Jody and all the rest of those guys. And I mean, I can't when we get to you to talk about the Invitational, I want to talk about the stuff because I'm a gear nut and I know y'all got all sorts of cool stuff.
right.
So we'll get to that in a minute. So Rus, tell us about day 2.
And you gotta tell us about your what happened, man.
The pre-fish, yeah, it's a pretty good story for the pre-fish. And I got up there pretty early, like a week before the tournament, and fishing a few places. And so I won the 10 last year, and kind of had that area to fall back on. I figured in case my pre-fishing didn't go well, and had a few decent days pre-fishing, nothing spectacular. And then on Thursday, I was out at Cypress Lake. It was pretty windy, but I've been out in worse conditions before. And I was getting something out of my front hatch, and my little digital scale that it fell out of my front hatch and it fell into the water, and it was kind of drifting back on the side of me. And I reached in the water to try to get it, and I just put too much weight on the side of my boat, and the wind was hitting me from the other side, and over I went. The kayak flipped. I couldn't believe it. I've never even had a close situation where I was even close to flipping on a lake like that. And like I said, I've been out in way worse conditions and flipped the kayak. I had a couple rods and a paddle in my hand, and next thing you know, I'm just sitting on top of my kayak. Made a little video of it. I'm sitting. My phone was attached to me.
Like everybody was worried about you, man.
I didn't know what to do. I was sitting there. I'm like, well, might as well document this a little bit as I'm trying to figure out what the next move is. And so I took a little video. I called Cody. He made some calls to see if anybody was out on Cypress Lake, and nobody was. And I just sat there for probably at least 45 minutes. And finally I saw a bass boat in the distance, and I grabbed my paddle and I just started waving my paddle up in the air. And it took him a while before he saw me, but he finally saw me, came over to me. I threw the gear that was already on top of the kayak there in his boat. He helped me flip it back over. And I had 8 rods. I lost 5 of them. And my tackle, luckily my black pack stayed closed. I got everything in there stayed there. It was a pain in the ass having to dry everything out though. But also the thing I lost though is I had a big like Plano bag, with all the little, like a zipper bag with all the little Ziplocs inside that was just filled with probably 200 of my hand-tied swim jigs. Oh. And I lost all of those, and that sucks. Because I mean, if I could, it sucks, especially since I had to. It's probably at least 50 hours worth of work
Was this before? Was this?
This is Thursday. This is Thursday before the 10 Invitational. But I did set a waypoint when I flipped it back over. My fish finder stayed good. My torpedo was underwater for that whole time, and when I flipped it back over, I just turned the thing on and off I went. It was good to go. There's little bit of moisture underneath the screen on the throttle. It's just about gone now, but besides that, it was perfect. I just so that was amazing.
Torpedo.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, I got back, dried off, didn't fish the rest of the day. The next morning I tried going out. I was staying with Cody, and Cody's like, dude, I'll go out there with you. We'll try to find the stuff. I had a waypoint of where it was. I was going to drag, I bought like a little rake or a little, I don't know what it is, but I was going to drag there, try to get my rods and my swim jigs. And he called Jamie Bra. He called a few people. There's probably 4 other people out there. They were all ready to help me out. And I was really thankful for people taking the time, especially the day before a tournament, to take the time to help somebody like that. So I was really, really thankful for that. And we loaded our kayaks, and we were just about to go. I'm like, where's my fish finder at? And come to realize that I'm pretty sure I left my door unlocked to my truck. It was in the back of my truck, by the back, not back seat, but the back area where I sleep back there. And it was gone. I think I left my door unlocked. Somebody jacked my fish finder with the waypoints. So I'm like, guys, I don't think we're gonna be able to do any good without a waypoint of where this was at. And so yeah, I only had like a couple. I went to Bass Pro, got another fish finder, spent a few hours pre-fishing on the lake that I won the tournament last year. That's where I ended up fishing the tournament. But yeah, and then come to find out in the tournament, first day, a couple of guys there they actually caught they saw a rod tip sticking out of the water. They didn't even realize it was a rod tip, and they start making some casts by it, started catching fish, and then come to find out that it was my rod, one of my rods. So they found a couple of them and later returned those to me. So I got a couple of my rods back. I was stoked about that. And as far as the tournament goes, first day, actually started in an area where started on the north side of this lake that I fished last year. South side's where I won it, and there was a million kayaks there, and we were all racing to get to the same spot. And after fishing there a couple hours, I only got a couple little ones, had to leave, drive somewhere else, relaunch, and pulled together a pretty solid limit in the afternoon of the first day. And the second day, I just camped out there the whole time, and it was tough fishing though. I had to grind it out, and ended up getting a good limit and winning the second day of the trail series there. And yeah, and getting second in the 10 Invitational.
So how did you catch them on day 2?
Mostly just doing the same thing I did last year. I was fortunate where I literally went to like the same spot and pretty much did the same thing. I mean, they move around. The vegetation was a lot different than it was last year. Things definitely shifted around, but I was just flipping pads. The first day I was flipping, a beaver.
You don't really want to give away too much, because it seems like somewhere they go back a lot. So I don't.
Yeah, no, I was just flipping, just same thing, just Florida fishing. I was flipping pads the first day, and the second day I noticed that they weren't hitting it too much on the fall. I was flipping pads with like a beaver and like a 1/4 ounce weight, pretty light weight. And a lot of times I wouldn't even just flip the pads. I kind of cast it past them and actually swim it in between the lanes in the pads, and I'd kind of bump it off the stalks and then just let it fall really slow. And that's where they were biting it, after I bumped the stock and kind of let it fall down. It was working well the first day. The second day, it wasn't really working as well. I noticed a couple of the bites I was getting was when it was just sitting there, not moving. So I actually took a page out of Jody Queen's playbook there and got a Z-Man Mag Fatty. I've had them for a few months because he's told me about them. I'm like,
Mag Fatties are hard to find now. You can't.
Are they?
You can't get those things just anywhere.
Oh, I got a couple packs from a while ago after he told me about them, and they float. That Z-Man plastic floats up, and I was just rigging at Texas rig with like an 1/8 ounce weight, and it's super silty where I was. It wasn't hard bottom; it was really, really silty. So, and the fact they were eating it off the bottom, I wanted something that was gonna stick up a little bit and kind of get up. I was thinking about a Tokyo rig, but it wasn't really coming through the pads that well, and that mag fatty was doing a good job, and I got a few of my key bites on that second day on that mag fatty.
I was going to ask you real quick, back to when you flipped, you said you lost all the swim jigs. Was that all the stuff you and Cody had just tied? Because I saw you had been
I made, when I was with Cody, I was there for like 9 days. We made, buzz baits, spinner baits, I probably made 30 swim jigs. That was like 30 of the 200 that I lost.
That hurts even worse when you.
If I could if I could buy, if I could spend $1,000 and buy them, then I'd be like, all right, that sucks too. But I whatever, 1,000, I don't know. I won money over the weekend, so I just take it as a as a loss. But when I have to, thing is, I could try buying them myself, but even the ones that I buy, I know that eventually I have more confidence in the ones that I make and design myself. So I'm going to have to just buy a few for now to get me by, but at some point I'm going to have to replenish those. So
just for my own question, what weight swim jig do you use? Quarter or 3/8?
I use everything from an eighth. I'll use an eighth with like a little single tail grub, a 1/4 ounce with like a little dipper or like a baby menace, and 3/8 with like a full size menace or a 3.8 Kitech or 4.3. I use a lot of different, all the way to usually 1/2 ounce. Sometimes I'll use it's not too often. I'll use a 3/4, but eighth to usually 1/4 to 1/2 are the most common.
Never used an eighth. That's interesting.
They work with a little single tail. What are those? Those Zoom Fat Albert.
Yeah.
A little 1/8 ounce with a Zoom Fat Albert. It works good in like small creeks and stuff.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that's Jimmy's jam. That seems like that would be something he would use.
I'm going to be picking Russ's brain while we're in Lake Fork.
All right.
I'm not a swim jig myself, so that's
swim jigs work. Yeah, they were good at Lake Fork. That's what I caught them on last year at Lake Fork for the second one, the Bassmaster, a little white swim jig.
It's such a versatile bait too, and like
it is.
You catch them all the time on it too.
Yeah.
Maybe not like dead of winter, but yeah. All right, Jody. So the winner of the 10, kind of one of the most coveted events of the year. Tell us how you bested the field. How did you do it, man?
Man, I was at a place, Lake Jackson down there. Russ has been there. He was there earlier that week, I think. And
is that where you were fishing the rest of the event?
Yes. Wow. There was enough fish in one area of that lake. I could have stayed on that lake for 10 days and never run out of fish. The big ones were way back under some floating mats, and the wind kind of changed the landscape out there a little bit. And what was left of the big mats, they hadn't quite moved out of those areas yet. So if you could get into those areas where there was just a small mat, there was usually fish around them. The last day was a pretty tough bite. I had to do a lot of moving around and stuff, but I pre-fished that area, and me and Corey Dreyer was down there, and we pre-fished it for a couple of days, and we knew pretty much after fishing it a couple of days that was going to be our primary spot. So I went the 2 days before the tournament started. The first tournament, I went to Rosalie and was going to sit in there, and the wind was so bad, man. I think it was the day that you turned over, Russ. It was so bad on that southern launch on Rosalie, man. I had 2.5 footers hitting the banks down there, and I didn't even try to put in. So I went up to Lake Gentry, which is a little farther north than Jackson there, and the launch on that lake was on the north side, so it was protected pretty good. And I was just going to fool around there for, rest of the half of the day. And I got out and I caught a couple small ones there in front of the ramp and went down the left side there and found a little canal and eased up in there. And I threw a chatterbait the whole time. And there's a little lay down coming off the bank. The water was about 18 inches deep in there, 2 feet maybe. And I come out there with an 11.2. It was my personal best. It was 26 and a quarter inches long. And
congrats, man.
Thanks, man. But the thing of it was, my scales had gotten wet and they wasn't working. And I had to put the fish over the side of the boat, and I was going through my phone, making sure my pictures were good for it. And just happened to look up, and there was a bass boat going across the mouth of the canal. A red bass boat, And I grabbed the fish, and I got down there and caught up with him and yelled at him. He had a set of scales, and he weighed it for me. And, I'm really bad about worrying about the fish a lot. So when he gave the fish back to me, I just shoved it in the water and let it go, after he weighed it. I could have got pictures and did some sponsor stuff, but I was worried about, the fish being stressed and stuff. But that was a monster fish. I mean, I pulled it out, and the first thing I did is I could stick my whole hand down in his mouth. I mean, all the way up to here. It was just a monster fish. But so that was good. And then when the tournament started, I just went to Lake Jackson, man. And I tried throwing the mag fatty. Never got nothing on it. I tried it for, during pre-fishing, never got nothing on it. So it was pretty boring, really. I threw a jackhammer all 4 days, all through the Invitationals and the other tournaments and the 10. It was all jackhammer. The only thing I changed was the color. On the last day after that, the wind beat that lake up. It's a shallow lake, and it got kind of dirty. So I went to a bluegill color, which was a little darker, and I had a breaking brim trailer and the diesel minnow on it, and it darkened it up. And when they quit hitting that gold shiner I was throwing, they were busting that bluegill. I mean, I was catching them like crazy off of it. We were catching 25, 30 fish a day in there.
What phase were they in? Were they still, was it pre or kind of all?
Yeah, the fish I caught, that 23 and a half I caught that got me big fish that day, it looked like that thing had just ate a turtle, man. It's good. That fish was pushing 9 pounds. I mean, it was full. I don't even know why it ate. But they all seemed to be pre-spawn. They hadn't really moved up, and I figured with that moon and stuff. But I think the cold front might have just kept them. Yeah, I think it might just kept them from it. I noticed that on Okeechobee, if you guys were watching the Tackle Warehouse MLS stuff down there, they were catching some fish on beds down in there. So
I saw an area that was full of beds. But not many areas. There's a couple spots that had them.
I'd seen a couple beds. I seen a couple beds with nothing on them. I think that the first wave had come in and gone back out maybe, and maybe the second wave was just getting ready to come back in to those areas, those spawning areas. I'm not sure, but I don't think they completely spawned out at all. I mean, some of the fish that I caught, they had no red marks on the tails. They were in great shape, perfect shape. I mean, they wasn't beat up or nothing. I mean, they were big fish. So they'd either already spawned early and was just out there post-spawn swimming around in some stuff, or they hadn't pulled up yet.
Oh, well, there you go.
Who would have thought that Jody would have won a few dollars on a jackhammer?
That should be a band, Jody and the Jackhammers.
I like it.
I told the guy, I said, man, you know why they call them jackhammers? Because they catch jacks. I swear, I bet I caught 100 jacks, man, on that jackhammer. It was tearing the skirts off of them. I had three of each of those colors, and I went through all of them, man, until the last day there.
And we do have to back up. I got out of whack here. Josh, Invitational, you could have won. Apparently, you could have won the day 1 and 2, or maybe at least day 1. But
day 1, I think I've been like 6th or so on day 2. But
so you were safe for us. But tell us how you won this Invitational, Josh.
Everything came from I was fishing the mouth of a creek in the morning, especially day 1. I had a good jackhammer bite. First couple hours of the day, I was actually able to fill out my limit. And caught some fish flipping, and then ended up getting my one more 20-inch fish in like the last hour on a jackhammer. I think I saw John, because I was watching the Invitational thing. I saw John. I think he got ahead of me. I think I like 90, low 90s. He had like 93. So I just started throwing a jackhammer, covering some water because I had a bite flip in a while, and so I got another 20-incher, last hour doing that. But
I love them jackhammers, boys.
They work.
They work.
Normally, I wouldn't ask, but what color were you throwing? Jody kind of already spit out what he was throwing.
I was throwing black and blue. Mine came black.
See, that's my go-to. I've been wanting to mess with that gold shiner because it looks so good, but it's just I can catch a fish on that black and blue one, man.
Right.
If you use those gold shiners with that Golden Boy trailer, man, they look just like those wild shiners down there. That's why those fish like them so much.
Yeah, I had some gold ones. I just never got myself to break off from that black and blue. It was working so well for me.
Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, day 2, my chatterbait bite was slow. I think I hooked 2 on, and they both came off, and then it's kind of a rough start. One felt real big, and he got caught up in some reeds, and came off. And I think it was like 10:30. I hadn't had a fish yet. We started flipping pads and hooked in like a 19 and a half. Not too much longer. Got a 22 and a quarter. Flipping a half ounce with a beaver behind it. Do some pads, and luckily, so I fill out my limit that day doing that. But yeah, good time.
Jody and Josh, were y'all going straight on your jackhammer? Were you still using fluoro with your jackhammer because of all the cover?
I was.
Yeah, I was too. I was using 15-pound fluoro.
Yeah, I don't throw nothing but fluoro on my jackhammers. I've thrown them on braid before, but they tend to bend out the clasps, and it's just real. It's real rough on the chatterbait if you're throwing braid with them. A lot of times, it'll bend that clasp out. All that jerking and stuff, jerking it through grass and stuff like that. It's just so strong, and that snap is so quick when you pull that braid back. It's rough on them jackhammers.
Yeah, I agree with you. And now I read stuff online. I say like Jake Harshman. I say Drew Gregory, and they say, oh, you gotta have the braid on there. It's funny how it's like 2 people say one thing, 2 people say the other, and
I think it depends on the rod that you're using. It really does. I think if you decide to use braid, you just need to use a softer rod.
Exactly. Yeah. See, I use a real stiff rod because I'm fishing heavy grass with it. So it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, if you're using those glass rods and you're fishing, if I'm fishing areas in open water and dragging it on the bottom, busting rocks, and just I don't have a lot of grass in there, I don't mind using those softer tip rods. But you'd be surprised how stiff the rod I'm using is.
Yeah.
Throwing a jackhammer on a broomstick.
Sometimes with those jackhammer, those chatterbaits, they don't like a spinnerbait. They'll just crush you. A lot of times with those jackhammers and chatterbaits, they just take it and come at you, and you don't even really feel them getting it. And if you have too soft a rod and you're using fluorocarbon, you go to set the hook and you just don't have enough power on the hook set.
Like you never catch up to
them. I use an 8.3 to 1 retrieve reel on a 7.4 rod. And that just gives me that speed and that extra sweep, that longer sweep. And it catches up with them on some of them. But, this time of the year, Russ, for some reason, especially this time of the year, they'll hit that thing and hit right towards you at 50 miles an hour.
All the time. I see it happen a lot.
But toward the later part of the year, they don't seem to do it as bad. But this time of the year, man, I don't know what it is, dude. It's just a streak right at you. You gotta make up that ground fast.
Yeah, a lot of times you don't even feel the bite; you just lose the vibration.
Exactly.
That's what I was about to say.
And then your line starts going.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing I had to learn on my curve with the jackhammer was, we were fishing it one day and this buddy of mine was just killing them, and it was a little local tournament, and I was throwing the exact same everything he was, and I was like, man, what are you doing different? And he's like, as soon as I feel it stop vibrating, he's like, just set the hook. And sure enough, I just threw it up against the bank. It was thumping. I just stopped feeling the thump, even though it was coming toward me, and I just bumped it. And then it took off another direction. So they were just coming right up behind it and just barely grabbing it and staying with it.
Exactly.
I don't know how many fish I had missed that day because I didn't know that little piece of information.
Yep. I got Matt Ball throwing them things, man, and he was doing the same thing. I said, man, when that thing stops vibrating, lay into it. I mean, that fish has got it. And a lot
must be real good. You got all of the kayak world throwing that thing.
Yeah, man, it's a great bait. It is, man. It is. I love it. Them those McFaddies, man. That's my 2 go-to baits.
Have anybody who's ever finally got a sponsor? No, it's never made me more happier than the day you got sponsored by Z-Man. I swear that made me so happy. I was like, hell yeah! That if anybody deserved a sponsorship, it was Jody Queen and Z-Man.
Yeah.
Hey, now they get a Jody Queen jackhammer.
Yeah, you need to make one, man.
Signature model.
I need to design one.
It's like how much have people made on a jackhammer? It's like Bret Hite, Jody Queen.
Oh my!
And Jody's coming quick.
Yeah.
I'm climbing slowly on him, in my opinion.
Yeah, you ain't going to catch him, but
Russ is going to get him before I do if he keeps it up.
No.
Hey, there's something to be said. Russ won enough checks that he took a break from fishing. When have you seen that during the season?
For
He
1
just got
week.
tired of making that money,
He's like,
man.
nah, I gotta go
I'm
fish.
hardly taking a break. You look at my schedule.
Yeah.
I'll be making up for it the rest of the year.
That's right. Well, before we get too far out of it, I wanted to go back to Josh. Tell me about the Invitational experience. Winning your way into the house, man. Talk about it.
Oh, man, it was great. I mean, the house was a lot more going on than I kind of imagined it would be. Everyone getting paid for, just the way they catered to everyone just being there. Food every night, all the walking in with the gifts on the bed. Even the filming, that was all a new experience for me. I've never filmed myself on my kayak. I've never had anyone film me, so that was kind of weird at first, having a guy in a kayak with a camera beside you. But I mean, it was a great experience overall. Like it was a lot more than I ever imagined it'd be.
That's all. What was the feeling you got from the other anglers when you come in? Were they threatened or?
No, everyone's they're all welcoming. I mean, they're all super cool, good group of guys. They even they probably see video or something. Might have heard my fuel pump went out, and I think half the house was out there taking the bed off my truck with me.
Video.
Yeah, I think Scott might have put a Facebook Live video or something of that. But
Why would they put a fuel pump under the bed?
that's how it is.
You either got to drop the tank, which is a pain in the ass, and
Yeah.
on their Chevys, or just like Josh. I heard about people switching out those fuel pumps and dropping that tank. What a pain in the ass! And Josh looked it up, and he's like, "Says here it's easier just to take off the whole bed." I'm like, "Do
it
it."
is.
Do you have this?
Let's do it.
Huh?
Do you have the same truck, Silverado?
I have a GMC Sierra, but yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, pretty much the same.
Mine has over 400,000 miles. That's probably the only thing I haven't changed on that truck is that fuel pump. It's original fuel pump, so that's
You better knock on some
pretty
wood.
Yeah, it ended up working out. We had that wind delay because I was asking to drive me around that day to the spot or something, but ended up getting delayed, so we got my truck back and running. So
yeah, it worked out good having that day off. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. Getting into that house via the Invitational has got to be just one heck of a cool. I don't know, like qualifying for it's one thing, but then like just working your way in as literally last minute as you can. I think that's pretty badass.
Right. It really made me wish I had signed up for those shows even more because I had some good AOY points to start the year off with. So
yeah, man.
Qualify your points.
Just means you got to hammer down now. You've stated that you can do it, and people are looking at you now. So now you got to just hammer down.
Yeah, I'm probably hoping to have another good run over at I think I'm going to do Murray. Hopefully have a good run out there on some good fish.
Let's go get it, Josh.
Right, man.
I guess kind of all I'm asking people who all won, an event. So you're going to have a positive feeling towards it. But how do you feel about having so many events stacked on top of each other? Is that, I mean, that's something maybe somebody who did poorly would feel a lot more negatively against that. But, and, we don't want to talk bad about A-Trail. I don't mean it like that. But how do you feel about that? Is that good or what?
The cooperation between KBF and the BOS series this year, they have staggered their events even in conjunction with bass events. I mean, they all got together and they made it so we could all fish them. Now, the amount of events, for me, I do this for a living, so I have to have those events out there. I'm glad that I'm glad there's too many for me to fish because it gives me a lot of options. There might be one on a lake one week that I don't know anything about, and the next week it might be or the same weekend there could be another one somewhere. But most of this year it's going to be the next weekend usually. I might know something more about that. I might skip this one and go to that lake that I'm more familiar with. I mean, I love having those options because it puts food on my table.
I mean, too, with just one event having day one.
Oh, you mean stacked on top of each other?
That too.
It's kind of mixed feelings on that. It's according, I guess, to, for me, I would rather have like one event on one weekend and then the next event on another weekend. Some guys, they like them stacked like that, but
you talking about the Invitational on the Trail series?
Yeah, you know how they're stacked on top?
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I would rather just fish separate tournaments both days or just, put the Invitational off to another day. But, it doesn't always work out that way. There's other things that go on behind the scenes. the amount of money, how you're hooked up with the Chamber of Commerce, how long you can have the house for. I mean, all those things play a part in the decisions to do those things. So, I mean, there's more to it than just, picking a spot and saying, hey, we're going to do this one weekend, this the next weekend. And I mean, there's a lot that goes into it.
It seemed to work out well as far as getting good number, pulling people from all over the country. I mean, the numbers they had were pretty impressive, and that maybe had something to do with doing the trail series on top of it. Gives more people incentive to make it, worthwhile.
I guess the drawback would be is if you hit those trails on one weekend and then try to push the Invitational to another weekend, people wouldn't be able to get off for it and all that. Those certain there's pros and cons to it. But I love being able to fish two separate tournaments on a Saturday and a Sunday with KBF, and the 2-day tournaments with BOS. I mean, it's just I love it. I'm glad they're doing it that way.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, that's great, man. I'll ask real quick just because you said that. So, Josh, did you always had the weather delay and the fact that you fished the weekend? Did you already have it kind of pre-planned out, knowing that you had a chance to get into the house?
Not really. I mean, like I said, if I was still more confident in my spot, I would have signed up for the trail series. I mean, it was the best thing I had going, but I really didn't know what to expect. I mean, it was the first spot I checked out pre-fishing. I mean, I knew I was going to go in. I was hoping to get some big fish, but I didn't expect, to be able to get out as big of limits as I did.
Did you have to call into work and be like, "Look, I'm just not."
No, I plan to take off with that and Seminole a week after, which is kind of weird because I had great in Kissimmee, and then Seminole ended up being probably one of the worst events I've had in years.
We only had half a day to pre-fish though, but
that's
show up, bow up.
Yeah,
it's the first Hobie event I haven't caught a limit at, so I was a little disappointed, but I mean, can't be upset about it. We all have bad tournaments sometimes.
Yeah, it is. I'm never going back there. I'm done with Seminole. It's off the list. I've marked it. I marked it off.
I hope we go back next year just because I want to try to get some redemption with it.
I said that was my redemption year was this year, and it didn't happen. So now I'm done. It is what it is. So we've kept y'all on for an hour. We appreciate y'all. Rus is in a car somewhere by a Domino's.
Dude, he looks kind of like a low key gangster. He's got his little. He looks like he's waiting for somebody to come outside of Domino's, and he's just gonna bust him one.
He's waiting on that pizza to be delivered, man.
Yeah.
That's a side hustle, dude. He's a
pizza delivery guy.
Yeah.
Gotta make that money, man. All right, John, we'll start with you. Where can people find you? And you want to give me a shout out to anybody that makes your fishing easier?
Yeah, so I only really have a personal Instagram, which KBF blasted. You can follow me on that, but there's some stuff on there you probably don't want to see. So my fishing page or Instagram is.
Now I really want to see.
Hey, I'll accept the followers. It's cool. So my Instagram is JXF_fishing. You can follow me on that. Facebook, but I don't really deal with Facebook too much. Not a good platform. But yeah, I want to thank my fiance Lauren, my son Oliver. They deal with me being away, not only from work but fishing as well. And then got to represent Dakota Lithium, man. Damn good batteries, and they support me. They get me whatever I need whenever I need it. Thanks, Stormy.
There you go. All right, Josh, how about you, man?
Well, I asked that question again, just kind of
Yeah, where can people find you online? I know you just
that's right. That was the first question.
Yeah,
my Instagram
makes easier for you, man.
Yeah, Instagram is Josh J Sharp. I got a Facebook too. It should be me holding a fish. I have my other one actually got hacked a couple of weeks ago. I just had to make a new one last week, so I think it might be confusing. I think you guys reached out to me on my old one, possibly, but yeah. The new one's with me holding a fish, and like I said, Instagram's Josh J Sharp. Those are my two social media things. As far as people think, I guess just friends and family. No sponsors or anything at the moment, but
It's coming. Don't worry.
Holler at Josh. Come on, he's weighing all kinds of stuff. Josh Sharp. Find him on the new Facebook. He's holding up
a fish on Florida. Yeah, that worked out. Take a picture down there. Just throw
You
it
need to just go take a picture holding the check. That can just be your thumbnail picture.
It probably is somewhere. I think I just gotta
There you
find him.
if Adam Reiser's right, he's a man on the move. So check him out.
He needs to get that guy that made that fuel pump for his truck, man. That's a non-endemic he needs to go after right there. Get that fuel pump.
Napa.
There you go, man.
That's
There you
right.
go.
Next time you see him on the water, he's going to be in a Napa wrapped boat. Looks like one of the Napa race cars.
Yeah.
I like it.
Napa now.
All right. And the old pimp mobile. What's up, man? How can people find it?
You talking to me? I missed that.
Yeah.
I wanted the pimp mobile, man.
You can find me at Rus Snyders, Rus with one S, Snyders with an S at the end of it. Instagram, Facebook, yeah, that's about it. I'd like to thank my sponsors. Like I said, Dakota Lithium, Stormy is awesome. Always hooks me up with all the batteries I need. Takes care of me really good. And, iRod fishing. I've got a new signature series rod coming out here in the next, hopefully, couple of weeks or so. So I'm really, really excited about that. It's going to be the new Gen 3 model that they just came out with here pretty recently. And dugout bait and tackle, where you can purchase both the Dakota Lithiums and iRods. Torquedo is a new sponsor I just signed on with, as well as Catch. Just signed on with them, and Quantum Reels as well. So I'd like to thank all those companies that
Boom.
All right. You don't hear enough about Quantum. I love some Quantum, man.
I do too. I've been using them for 20 years now. A lot of their reels I've had for damn close to 20 years. I'm really good about reel maintenance and taking them apart. And I don't care what people say. I mean, those things, they hold up. And once in a great while, I'll replace a little bearing or something like that. But they really treated me well over the years.
I'm obviously not sponsored by them, but they really support their old stuff too. Like you can get all their old parts.
Yeah, they're really good about parts. There's diagrams you can order, go through the whole thing and order whatever part you need, and it's all relatively pretty affordable for ordering the parts to fix your reels and just keep them going. And yeah, they've done great.
Cool. All right, Jody, how about you, man?
You can find me on Jody Queen Fishing on Facebook and Jody Queen Fishing on Instagram. Go over and give me a like, man. I need all the help I can get. My sponsors, man. A special shout out to DZ and Catch, man. What they did for the 10. I mean, DZ is really throwing down some serious support for KBF and fish and kayak fishing in general. Josh Nichols, man, he's a great guy. I appreciate all that he's done for the sport there. Fishing online, of course, everybody knows that's where I get most of my stuff from. Torquedo, man, if you'd have seen me where we launched that after that wind shoved that heist at the end of that ramp, I mean, it was blocked. I mean, you could almost walk across it. And that 1103, man, it shoved me right through it. I mean, it was crazy how I got through that stuff. Me and Corey we were both running 1103s, and it was just – they were just badass. Cash and Rods, they've been there for me, man, since the beginning here. I've been with them about a year and a half, but they're real good about listening to us and improving their product, and they're really trying to get into the kayak market, and they're making a whole line of rods just for kayaks. They've been doing really well for us. Yak Attack, Hobie, Dakota Lithium, Stormy, man, like you say, man, Stormy takes care of you, dude. I mean, he's always been there. If you need something, I mean, he's always right there for you. I mean, he takes care of us real well, and I really appreciate him. And of course, Hobie, man. Ever since I switched over to the Hobie, I mean, I've just been doing really well out of it. I mean, I love the boat. It's comfortable. It holds a lot of stuff, and everything's spaced out and easy to get to. And that 360 drive, man, and that wind down there is just like having spot lock. I mean, it's not quite as good as spot lock probably, but I have no problem holding in that wind. I mean, you can just sit there and just work the handle and stay right on spot and fish. I'm fishing more than I'm adjusting anymore. So that really puts my bait in the strike zone a lot longer. But yeah, that's about it, man.
Good deal. Well, we appreciate y'all's time. Rus sitting in a car for the last hour and 10 minutes. We appreciate y'all, and good luck the rest of the season. Z-Man too, obviously,
Z-Man baits, man. I probably left them out, but man, good Lord, what can I say? I can't say enough about them.
A jackhammer. People know. So you want to throw a jackhammer, but we appreciate y'all. Appreciate your time, and I'm sure y'all will win again, and we'll have all of y'all on the show again before too long, and especially Josh. Where I keep hearing Josh, he's everywhere. He's coming in all the time. Man. So. Yeah.
Thanks for having me, man. We appreciate it.
Yep. We'll see y'all
guys.
Too, guys.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it. Take care. Have a good night.
See you guys.
All right. There we go. Now let's talk about some other winners. A couple other tournaments out there this weekend. We had Kayak Anglers of Florida. It's warm out there. They had another tournament this weekend because KBF was a couple of weekends ago. But Sunshine State Trail on Claremont Chain, 35 anglers. Michael Parker got first with 73.5. Sherman Bishop, heard that name a lot, with 69.5. And Thomas Woodring with 69.5. And last but not least, Queen City KBF, probably the biggest trail in the country, 108 anglers, 4 fish limit. So they're a 4 fish limit trail. A tough tournament, only 27 anglers had a limit. Benny was one of them. I will say that he had the last 4 fish limit. So I threw it in there. We'll shout out to my boy. But only Chris Godwin, 74.5. He won again 4 fish limit. Joey Randall with 71 inches was in second, and third was 70.5. I didn't write the person's name. I'm sorry. Mystery Man number 3. So there you go. I don't know why. Why didn't I write his name? That's weird. But yeah.
I do the same thing. I write down the lengths first because I don't know. I guess that's what I care about. And then I look down and I'm like, well, I don't know who caught it.
Yeah, I got the number. So whoever you are, congratulations. Congrats to all the winners, and thanks to guys being on show tonight. We appreciate y'all and appreciate your time. But next week we got Watts Bar. So Hobie Watts Bar. Not a lot of people signed up, but it's going to be brutally cold. But that doesn't matter.
It's going to show out from some of the local buddies of mine, Tennessee guys say that's the lake that's the next chick. It's going to show out. So
this time of year, there's going to be it's going to be tough fishing, but there's going to be some bigs that are going to show up right now. I truly wish I would have thought about it more, because Seminole and Watts Bar are probably equal distance from my house. I wish I would have fished Watts Bar instead of Seminole. For me, it fishes more to my strengths than what Seminole does, like jigs, A-rigs, things like that. That's more my jam, and I wish I would have fished that. But
I had really planned on it, but this year Hobie's entire schedule, all but I think one event, doesn't work with when we have my daughter and everything. So I could do some rearranging, but it's just not worth it in the end. If it was like Gunnersville or somewhere I've got a lot of confidence in, then I would probably make the arrangement and everything. But we'll hit it again. Somebody will come back through, because they all say Watts Bar's about to turn into the lake to be at. So
Yep, they'll be there. Somebody will be there again. But good luck to the guys. Be safe out there on the cold water of Watts Bar. But somebody's going to sack them up for sure. But y'all be safe out there. Be good and wear your PFDs. We'll see y'all again next week.
See ya. Thanks for tuning in this week, everybody. The Reel Down was brought to you by the Dugout Bait and Tackle in Marietta, Georgia. They have everything you need for your next fishing adventure, from rods, reel, line, and tackle, all the way up to Hobie fishing kayaks. They carry all your favorite brands like G. Loomis, St. Croix, Shimano, and many, many more, as well as all of our best bait company. Give them a like and follow, and head on over to the Dugout Bait and Tackle today, and be sure and tell them that Paddle and Fin sent you.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode on Paddle and Fin. Don't forget to go check out our website at paddle_and_fin.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel at Paddle and Fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest on a future episode, feel free to email us at paddle_and_fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Paddle and Fin on Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to our show supporters, Angler. The Angler button and app just makes for a better time on the water and creates a virtual logbook for every fishing outing out on the water. Shout out to Rocktown Adventures, located in Northern Illinois, for all your kayaking, camping, and hiking needs. Shout out to Jig Masters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com